Every year, about 24,000 cubic miles, 100,000 cubic kilometers, of water evaporates from the world's oceans, condenses, and then falls as rain or snow. Most of this water disappears back into the atmosphere to continue this cycle, but about 1/3 returns to the oceans by flowing either over ground or below the land surface. This steady supply of freshwater sustains all the world's land-based life, as well as creating highly diverse habitats, from streams, rivers, and lakes, to reed beds, marshes, and swamps, in which a wide range of different animal and plant life can thrive. For permanent water dwellers, life in lakes and rivers is shaped by many different factors. One of these is the water's chemical makeup, which is often dictated by the type of rock that forms the bed of a river or lake. Hard water, for example, is good for animals that grow shells because it contains calcium that can be used as shell building material, while water that is especially rich in oxygen is important for highly active predatory fish, such as salmon and trout. Water that is very deficient in oxygen, on the other hand, provides a poor environment for animal life as a whole because relatively few aquatic species, except for specialized worms, can survive in it. In lakes and rivers, aquatic animals usually occupy clearly defined zones. The brightly lit water close to the surface often teems with water fleas, copepods, and other microscopic forms of animal life. They live here in order to feed on phytoplankton, the microscopic algae that become extremely abundant during the summer months. Feeding in the middle zone and near the water's surface are larger animals, such as fish, that are able to hold their own against the strength of the current. Weak swimmers live near the banks, where the current is slower, or among stones and sediment on the bottom. In still and slow-flowing water, surface tension supports insects that hunt by walking or running over the water. Some animals that are associated with freshwater habitats are not necessarily permanent water dwellers. Instead, they divide their time between water and the adjacent land, entering the lake or river to hunt or breed, or using it as a nursery for their young. A wetland is any waterlogged or flooded area with a covering of water plants. In some wetlands, reed beds and bogs, for example, the plants hide the water completely. However, in most wetland, areas of open water and dense vegetation are mixed, creating a rich and complex habitat that can be exploited by animals of almost every kind. Biologically, wetland is among the most productive inland habitats, sometimes surpassing even rainforest in the amount of food that it generates for animals. In temperate parts of the world, this productivity reaches a peak during spring and summer, but in the tropics and subtropics it is more affected by the water supply. Some tropical wetlands, South America's Pantanal, for example, largely dry out during the dry season, but then look like vast lakes once it has rained. In many wetlands, the water is no more than 34 feet (lm) deep, which means that bottom-living animals and surface dwellers are rarely far apart. This kind of environment is ideal for air-breathing swimmers, such as snakes and turtles, and also for land-based animals that use water as a temporary refuge from danger. Unlike large lakes, wetlands have an extra dimension in the form of emergent plants, which grow up through the water's surface and into the air. These plants range in size from small grasses and rushes just tall enough to keep insects clear of the water, to water-loving trees that grow to over 115 feet, 35 meters, high. Trees act as important roosting and breeding sites for water birds, providing them with shelter and relative safety from predators as well as keeping them close to the source of their food.